Schnautz. I'm the principal here at Magnolia West High School, and thank y'all for being here. Some of you may have been forced to be here. But either way, I appreciate you smiling and being positive, and we're going to talk about the power of a positive culture today, okay? And so in getting started, what I want you to do is kind of reflect on a personal level, all right? And I want you to think back, and it can be recent, it can be a few years back, but think about a time or experience when you were part of an organization, a group, or a team in which you were affiliated with a positive culture, okay, in which you lived that, okay? And so what did it feel like? How did it affect you? And how did you perform within that environment, all right? And so I'm going to give you just about, 30 seconds to think about that. And again, it can be recent. Some of you may be living the moment right now on your campuses. Some of you may have had an experience in a previous district or when you were growing up. What did that feel like? How did you perform? And then how did it affect you? You can say on a professional, on a personal level. But does anybody want to share? Are brave enough to share? Come on, courage. Yes, ma'am.
I would say the biggest advantages right now, or even where I am, BBGH, is when you have a good cohesive team. You're supportive of each other. You get along. You're very energetic, and you stay positive. That keeps everybody else positive, and you enjoy going to work. I walked in the building the other day, and I felt good.
Yeah.
I see people that I care about, that I appreciate, that I know respect me, and it just makes for a better environment.
Awesome. That's awesome. Bear Ranch Junior High. Shout out to Mr. Evans and their team and to y'all. That's great. Good job. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I would echo what she said, that if you're in a positive place, it generates a lot of energy, a lot of collaboration, and a lot of really good high-quality product.
Absolutely. And research shows that, a positive culture translates to higher performance, translates to a more positive attitude, all the good stuff, right? All right? Yes, ma'am.
It also makes your life a lot easier. When you have a team that works together where you can delegate and one person does one thing, it makes your life so much easier and your workload drop dramatically.
Absolutely. And probably, too, when you leave it and you go home, probably you feel much better. And
yeah, well, you don't really take it home.
Yes, that's great.
Kind of nice.
That's awesome. So hopefully through this today, you'll see some of those common themes. And I'm going to talk real quick about, I guess, my first experience or encounter with a positive culture. And that was with Mrs. Sanders, Ann Sanders, at Bonham Elementary. I'm from Bryan, and Bryan ISD, second grade. And for me, that was a pretty key point in my life because I was 7 years old, and I was going through something that still to this day is probably one of the most impactful experiences I've had in my life, and that was a divorce, my parents getting divorced. And so I was 7 years old, and every little boy wants to have what? They want their daddy around, Well, I was going through that, and it was just a very difficult time in my life because I didn't know what had just hit me. My world was totally flipped, and my dad wasn't around. I lived with my mom there in Bryan. My dad moved to Austin, and I kind of went through a few years there, but starting out in the second grade, I had Mrs. Sanders for my teacher, and this lady was amazing. She still is amazing, and I haven't talked to Mrs. Sanders probably, in probably 25 years, but still I think about her every day, and that's the impact she's made on my life. But so what did that look like for me? What did it feel like? Well, again, I was 7 years old. I'm sitting here, I was miserable at home. Every time I can just think back when I was at home, I was upset, crying, and missing my father. But as soon as I came to school, as soon as I walked up in her doorstep, she was there to greet me, she was there to hug me, and she was always positive. Okay, her attitude was positive. She saw me she saw the best in me, and she treated me accordingly. She treated everybody that way. It didn't matter what your skin color was or if you came from money or what, but she just loved us, okay? And there were times where she gave us tough love too. There were times where she pulled me in the hall and said, and she would kind of kneel down and get eye level, and she would just look at me and just say, Brad, this is not acceptable, and really, and there were times where I would tear up and I would cry because I knew I'd upset her, but I also knew that she was serious and I was scared of her, and but that was okay, but she showed me so much love throughout second grade, and I was able to excel academically. I was able to kind of develop the positive attitude I needed to have, the behavior I needed to have, I needed to exhibit, to be successful. And there were certain things too, like I grew up playing sports, and baseball was big for me. And at that time, I was in Little League. Well, she would come to my games and watch me play. And there were times where she would ask me, or she would make comments like, hey, I saw you pitch the other night. And, you just think the world of that. You're like, wow, she was there to watch me. But just things like that I remember. And so fast forwarding a little bit through my third grade year, guess what? I didn't have a Mrs. Sanders. And so I look back on my report cards, and my grades just tanked big time. My conducts, it's funny, and I don't know if I was trying to do this on purpose, but we were on 6 weeks back then, and I spelled son twice, S-U-N, S-U-N, and that's funny for me. And I don't know if I was trying to do that, back at the time, but I was kind of a knucklehead. I could be, and I needed a Mrs. Sanders to kind of pick me up and jerk me and get me back in line, when I got off kilter a little bit. But I didn't have that third grade, and it really didn't have that third through sixth grade, all right? But I guess my point is this, I'm 38 years old, and I remember Mrs. Sanders just like today, just like it was yesterday, even though it was a second grade for me, And that's the impact she made. That's the impact that the culture made, that positive culture in her classroom made on me. And that's something that, as Rob Miller alluded to, I was able to finish up my dissertation this summer, and something that I'm going to do here soon in the near future, I'm going to handwrite her a letter and invite her to my graduation and just let her know how much she meant to me. And I'm not going to talk about this anymore because I will get choked up on that. But anyway, that is Mrs. Sanders, and I'll get back to that in just a few moments. But developing a positive culture, it's real easy, guys. Look in the mirror. It starts with you. Okay, there's no one person or no one thing that should affect, the outcome of your attitude, of the outcome of what you're going to portray and convey to your kiddos this year, okay, or any time, all right? It starts with you. You determine that, okay? And it's built upon positive relationships, meaningful, authentic, genuine relationships. And we're all people, whether we're 15 years old or whether we're 7 years old, we know when someone's genuine. We know when someone's fake, or if they really mean, hey, how are you doing, or have a good day, or, hey, good luck, But we want positive, authentic, genuine relationships, all right? A positive culture. In establishing that positive culture, you help others exceed their potential. Now, potential is a dangerous word, okay? And I particularly, after I kind of created this PowerPoint, I'm going over a few things, and I don't necessarily like potential, because what does that mean? It's kind of dangerous. How do you set somebody's potential? Because I'm going to tell you this, my potential as a 7-year-old, I exceeded it back when I was 13 years old. So who defines potential? But I guess what's more accurate there is making others better around you, okay? Making them believe that a lot of our kids think, well, there's no way I could ever accomplish that. And then by the end of the year, they're like, you just show them the growth and what they've accomplished, and their eyes are wide open, and yours probably are too, away from them, You're going, I can't believe they did that either. But they don't know that. But it's making others around you better, okay? And as far as with our students, it's helping them exceed what they thought, kind of only what they thought they could accomplish, all right? Focusing on the strengths. And I think too often we look at people's weaknesses. And guess what? We all have weaknesses, right? Well, every one of us do. But we also have a lot of strengths, and we also have our unique talents. And I think it's important that we focus on the strengths of those individuals within our classrooms, on our teams, okay, is from peer to peer. And we utilize those strengths, okay? Because you can sit here and nitpick each other all day and think, well, we all have these weaknesses, and this is what's going to keep our team from performing, or this is what's going to keep Brad from, passing that STAR exam. But if you focus on the strengths, you're going to get the most out of those individuals, all right? And as, as leaders in the classroom, as leaders on your campus, you got to be willing to take risks, all right? And so that's getting out of your comfort zone. That's doing things that you probably wouldn't normally do, if you're probably at home, with your family. And what I mean by that is, I kind of I have this goofy side to me, okay? And I do some silly things like I'll dance in a pep rally, and I can't dance worth a flip. And some of my staff here will tell you that I can't do that. But you know what? I think our kiddos appreciate it. They laugh. It's a good time, and they remember those things. And I mean in a good way, okay? But for me, you know, if I do some of that stuff at home, my wife would probably slap me, you know? I mean, really, you know? And when I do try it, my girls will tell me, Daddy, get out of here. You know, they'll move me to another room fast. But bless you. But be willing to take a risk, okay? Try a lesson that, you know, that may be creative, that may be kind of out of your comfort zone, that you think the kids may get a lot out of this. And it utilizes your creativity, and guess what? It's going to grow their creativity as well. And then you're going to learn from it, because they're going to say, well, Mr. Schnautz, why don't you try this? And you're, okay, that's a great idea. And so next you can tweak and fine-tune it and make it a better lesson, you know? And then finding a way. You know, we have different types of learners in our classroom, but guess what? We have to find a way to reach all of them, right? I mean, that's why you're great at what you do, you know? And that's part of that positive culture, is that, you know, your students are going to know that no matter what, you know, Mrs. Smith is going to find a way to reach me. She's going to find a way to make this work for me, you know? And they start to see that. And they start to know that, they start to build confidence in themselves, but they also know that, guess what? I'm going to go to school today and I'm going to have success. I'm going to win, okay? So finding a way to have success for your kiddos. All right, the effects of a positive culture. Emotions are expressed, you know? I think back to, and I guess for some reason I think back to Jim Valvano. Do y'all know who Jim Valvano was back in '83? He was a head coach at NC State Wolfpack. And for those of you that are U of H Cougars, it breaks your heart probably for me to even mention that, because NC State that year beat U of H on a buzzer beater to win the national championship, okay? But Jim Valvano was he was this Italian, very boisterous and high energy and positive. And that whole story, if you ever have a chance, kind of just watch that 1983 story. I mean, there's documentaries out there on it, but he's an amazing man. But fast forward to 1993, he had cancer, and he was dying of cancer, and he spoke at the 1993, the ESPYs. And in his speech, he said something like, you know, the importance of just being emotional, and if you laugh, if you think, and if you cry, if you do those three things in a day, that's a full day, okay? And if you do those things 7 days a week, then something special is going to happen. And I believe that. I believe that our kids, I believe that our teachers, I believe that our teammates, I believe they need to see us express emotions. They need to see us laugh. They need to see us probably when we're frustrated, you know. They need to see us, sometimes we cry. I mean, we just do. It's part of life, you know. And sometimes we need that, you know. So I think it's important in a positive culture you express emotion, you know. Your kids need to see you laugh. They need to see the fun side of you. I think too often we get caught up in trying to be stoic and this authoritative figure, you know. But that's kind of boring, isn't it? And it's sometimes it's harder to be that way than it is if we just kind of let our guard down and say, this is kind of cool just hanging with these kiddos, or just if I'm just real with my teammates, you know. Positive culture. Individuals are recognized for their accomplishments and praised. And, you know, whether you're dealing with your students, posting their work, you know. Everybody likes to be praised and recognized. You know, sitting in a meeting with your colleagues and just, hey, that's a great idea. You know, we're going to try that. Or just being positive, you know, praising each other, recognizing each other, again, for their strengths, for their talents. In a positive culture, individuals don't want to be on the sidelines. They want to get in the game. They want to be active participants. You know, it's very easy, bless you, it's very easy sometimes to just get complacent and just sit back and let the game just go, you know, and not be players in the game, but get off the sidelines. Be playmakers, you know, get in there and impact lives and make a difference, you know, and I'm kind of repeating some things, but it's just getting in the game, you know, making the environment around you better. It's that positive culture. In a positive culture, individuals want to succeed. They want to do their best, you know. When I went to class every day in the second grade, I wanted to bring my best for Mrs. Sanders because I knew that that's what she wanted, that's what she expected, that's what she demanded, you know. And I think when you get a high-performing team like that, you're feeding off each other, you know. And I'll talk about the snowball of empowerment in just a second. A positive culture, learning never stops, okay. We talk about lifelong learners, all right. Learning never stops. You help each other out. You know, if you're continuously learning, guess what? You're trying to create those lessons that are A+ lessons that are going to get your kids hooked in, connected. Okay. If learning never stops, when you're sitting in your team meetings and department meetings, you're bringing something to the table to contribute. You know, I love being in a meeting, and you know, I kind of call it seat movers. People that make you move in your seat because they're saying something. You're like, oh, you know, that's pretty thought-provoking. That kind of challenges the way we're doing things. But you know what? That's probably that's going to make us better. You know, that's what you want to do. You want to bring something to the table. All right. So whether as a classroom teacher, as a department chair, whatever it may be, if you're sitting in a team meeting, whatever it may be, bring something, you know, contribute. The snowball of empowerment, all right? We all want to empower our kiddos, okay? We want to empower others around us, all right? But just think about it. If we empower each other, that snowball just grows, and guess what? It gets bigger and bigger, and that momentum just takes it to where it moves itself. And that's when you really start to move a team, organization, a classroom, okay? When everybody's empowering each other and you're all feeding off that positive energy, you know, and you want to be better for each other and you want to perform, you know, I want to be better tomorrow than I was today, and guess what? Now you're starting to see your scores move. Now you're starting to see the attitude, the behaviors, you know, the discipline problems, whatever they may, they're going to decrease as well, all right? Just that higher performance. All right. You know, we sit here sometimes and we think, well, I'll just do that tomorrow. You know, I'll get to that in 2 weeks. And guess what? 4 weeks goes by. You know, I'll start reading, you know, and I'm guilty of this. You know, I'm going to read a leadership book. And I'll say, I'm going to start this next week. And then 6 weeks goes by. And then guess what? It's Christmas, you know, and then it's spring break, you know. But the time is now. The time is now. And, you know, you can sit here and kind of sit back and watch the game go by, but we're missing it. You know, and our kids are missing you, you know. Your teammates are missing you because, again, you have strengths, you have talents. Use them. Use them now. Use them today, you know. Be the difference maker. Again, sometimes it's easy to kind of just sit back and be average, okay. And being average is easy. It is. And you know, if it wasn't easy, everybody would be, you know, performing at this level. But be a difference maker. Be better than average. Everybody has it in you. It's just work ethic. It's that will. It's that determination. And it's not easy. You know, it's not easy to be positive every day, you know. But be a difference maker. And, you know, I tell my guys this a lot. You know, it's what they deserve. Well, who? It's our students. It's our teachers. It's our staff members. It's what they deserve. They deserve our best. You know, how many of you are parents in here? Probably a lot of you, right? Okay, don't you want your kids to have the best? I do. Because why? Because they deserve it, all right? And they deserve to have a better year this year than they did last year. I believe that, okay? They deserve, hopefully they're going to have a better, you know, if they're juniors, a better senior year, better sophomore, whatever it may be. But they deserve our best, okay? And guess what? They're paying us to give our best, okay? So we need to perform. I like this quote here by John Gordon. Do y'all know who John Gordon is? Best-selling author. One of his books is called The Energy Bus. We kind of did a book study with the student leadership team here, and if you haven't read it's a very easy read. You could probably read it in a day, 2 days. You know, for slow readers like me, probably 3 or 4 days, and boom, it's a great read. It just talks about the power of positive energy and the stuff that you're going to encounter along the way, but you make the choice to weed out that negativity, okay? But the quote is, lead with optimism, enthusiasm, and positive energy, guard against pessimism, and weed out negativity, all right? And that probably sums up that book the best, but it applies to your professional life. It applies to your personal life. You know, you name it. You can put all facets of life. And it's a great book. Again, it's an easy read. And I guess in closing, I want to thank you for your efforts, guys. This profession is the best profession out there. I mean, it's the most noble profession. It's the most underpaid profession. And I don't care what you do. I don't care what role you play in education. We're underpaid. I believe that. But what other profession can we make an impact the way we do? And what other profession can somebody like me, who I guarantee at times I didn't deserve a Mrs. Sanders, but I'm sitting here, 30 years later going, I think that woman, you know, she's an angel. She's just amazing, and she impacted my life in such a, it's hard for me to describe it, you know. But what other profession can you do that? I mean, I can't think of any, really. But y'all have an amazing school year. This is going to be a great year for y'all. And it's encouraging to hear just some of the great things that are going on at your campuses, because, you know, I know, you know, we're divided, and Mr. Springer and I, we have a very friendly rivalry, and rivalry is good, competition is great, but you know what? They're all our kids, because guess what? We're pushing them out into this world that's full of negativity, that's full of telling people you can't do this and holding people down, and we're building them up, and guess what? They're going to realize the goals that they never thought they could attain and achieve. You know, and last, I want to say, be a catalyst for positive culture, and you know, are we going to have bad days? Absolutely. You know, my wife, I love her to death. She's great, and I don't know how she puts up with me, but there are days when I go home, and she knows I've had a bad day. When I walk in, and she can see the look on my face, and she's like, you had kind of a bad day, right, Brad? And I said, yeah, sweetheart, I had a bad day. And she said, well, were you positive? I'm positive it was a bad day, you know? So always stay positive, all right? But just know that, yes, some days we're going to go through the weeds, and some days it's going to be hard to see, but guess what? We're going to pop out of them, and the sun is always there, and we're very blessed to be able to you know, live in a country where all kiddos can go to school, and we just have such a role where we can impact lives. And so I want to thank you. Good luck to you. God bless, and y'all have a great year. So thank you.